Are pedestrian and bike paths important to our community is the first part. And the second part is, how do you feel about treating bicycles on the road as vehicles and encouraging law enforcement to warn or ticket the bicyclists as they would any vehicle that failed to obey the rules of the road?
Well, I'll give a two-part answer.
Thank you.
I am in support of all our pedestrian and bike paths here in town. We did recently upgrade our Paradise Path Task Force to the Pathway Commission, so it's in the code now that it's an actual commission that is in charge of our pathways in town, They make the suggestions as far as interconnectivity of the paths, of new pathways. They've come in with potential, trying to remember what they called it, orphan paths out there that they want to tie into the main one. So I do think that those are important. I think they get a lot of use. As far as bicycles on the road being treated as vehicles, I think that, you know, I've always been an advocate of that. My bicycle, I bought a license from the police department mostly so I could find it if it got stolen. That was the big thing. Then it worked because my daughter's bicycle did get stolen, and they called me when it showed up at the city shop. So it does work for that. I think it's $6 now. I can't remember for sure. Anyway, I do think that they need to follow the rules of the road as everybody else. There is a couple little code sections, I think, that give bikes a little bit of extra leeway as far as stop and yield signs, things like that. But, you know, if the bikes are following the rules of the road, I think that we'll all get along better as far as that goes. We did put our Sharrows on down at Main Street, so hopefully, and trying to keep the bicycles off the sidewalks down there, because I think it says it's a pedestrian priority area, so bicycles need to help the pedestrians as much as the cars do.
Jim?
I think that pedestrian and bicycle pathways are very important in this community, and I think we've done a good job of advancing that. We have a fabulous trail system from Pullman all the way to Troy, and at some point it'll go all the way to Julietta. And it will be an economic engine as well as a great way for people to get around and recreate in this area. There are a number of pathway ideas going on that I want to see advanced. The underpasses under Highway 8 and Highway 95 would allow a biker or a pedestrian to get from the University of Idaho to the Joseph Street ball fields without ever stopping or going up a hill. And anything that you can do to make walking or riding bicycle, any human-powered conveyance, more convenient, the more people will do it, and the less wear and tear they'll have on the roads. As far as enforcement of laws relative to bicycles, cyclists have to follow the rules of the road, and like Dan said, they have certain exceptions. They're allowed to not stop at a stop sign if nothing's coming, and they treat that as a yield sign. That's one of them. But everybody, I think, has been afflicted with bike salmon. You know, those people riding upstream, traffic, and that really shouldn't be tolerated. So, yeah, things should be enforced. And I've seen people get run into by a vehicle doing that because the motorist wasn't expecting it to come from that direction. So, yeah, they should follow the rules of the road.
I'm originally from Alabama, so seeing people bike in the winter when I first moved here was quite a shock. But now that I feel like I've really become a Pacific Northwesterner, we have an increase of bikers. You have to remember, our city really is 2 miles square. So people do want to do that. We've had an increase, there's new labeling. I think that the education piece of the bicyclist has to happen too. And these two people are well versed on their bicycling laws, but I think most people I ride, don't ride with lights, they don't pay attention. So I think there are some educational pieces that we could do to help the coordination between pedestrians, vehicles, and bicyclists. So it's on the increase in our community, which I'm pleased to see. We see a lot of people still riding without helmets, and I think that's something that we have to take into consideration too, because then our emergency services bear the brunt of that if there's an accident. So this actually is a big city issue, because I think as a city, and it's in the comprehensive plan too, the update of how many more people are bicycling. The city surveys were started in 2002, and they've been done every other year. We just had a new one, and there's about 1,500 people that receive the surveys, and this is one of the questions. It is about, are you using the bike paths, and do you consider this a form of travel? And the results of the surveys are on the city website, and you can see that we are increasing that. And it's not just the university kids, we have a lot of hardcore bicyclists too.
And Don, please.
Thank you. I've been enjoying bicycling in the city since I was 8 years old when we moved here. I remember back in the day, every day after school, back when the Moscow Pullman Daily News still had afternoon routes. I had a newspaper out when I was in junior high for a couple of years, and every day I would go bicycle around the neighborhood and throw the newspaper to all the people who were on my list. That was a lot of fun. I've gone out so many times to Pullman, to Troy, on the trails with friends, with my brother and sister, with dates in some cases. It's a great activity, great place to go out with people, and just enjoy the communities around us, yeah, we do need to be understanding with living in a university town, with so many students who, some of them, their only real method of transportation is riding a bicycle. I've experienced driving around the city, times where a bicyclist was, going super slow or not following the rules of the road, and was actually being dangerous in terms of stopping cars suddenly or what not the issue may have been. And I think that's more an issue of education and needing to talk to people about the rules of the road and safety. But absolutely, I do support bicycling. I think it's a great thing in our community, and keep it up. It's a great energy-saving thing too. So, yeah.
Thank you.